Thank you very much for joining Cinema Showcase tonight. And right now, join me in welcoming to the program and to Atlanta, Ms. Lauren Bacall. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for asking.
The book is dedicated to the memory of your mother, and she obviously played a very important part in your life.
The most, I would say.
Did she encourage you to get into modeling and then into films?
She encouraged me to do anything that I wanted to do. She stood behind me. I wanted to be an actress on the stage originally. Now, no one in my family ever knew anything about actors except they were odd persons. And we are odd persons, God knows. But she supported me. I mean, she started me in dancing school. I mean, it was the classic case, you know, at the beginning of a mother who decided that her daughter was going to have opportunities that she didn't have. That is cliche now, certainly. But the fact is that she did give me those opportunities by starting me in dancing school and modeling. And I was not a very successful model until Harper's Bazaar. I was not in demand, shall we say.
They weren't pounding on the door.
No, not breaking down any doors. But my grandmother was horrified when I said I wanted to be an actress, you know. She thought I was crazy. Well, go make a decent living and help your mother, who works so hard. But my mother said, no, if that's what she wants, okay. She never tried to stop me or head me in another direction. No, she had worked all of her life, and she raised me alone, and I was her only child, and I was the light of her life.
Yeah.
And yet she did not move. I mean, she was matriarchal in a way, finally, but she did not move in on my life ever, which is extraordinary to be able to do.
Yeah. When the movie offers started, I guess that was a result of the Harper's Bazaar.
Well, yes, my modeling in Harper's Bazaar, which I did not do for very long either. I would say the thing that triggered the Hawks' interest was one layout that they did with actresses. There were 3 actresses. 2 actually had acted, and I was the 3rd. But what they did in the bazaar was they had put the names of the other 2 girls in the magazine, and as a surprise, they had put my name in. It said young actress. And that was how they found out my name. Then I was on the cover of the bazaar after that. And it was Slim Hawks' seeing those and showing those photographs to Howard that led to the test.
Yeah. But, no, I'm sorry.
No, I mean, the only other offer I was just going to say was that came along at that time was the CoverGirl offer.
Columbia. Yeah.
Columbia, yes, making the film, and they wanted girls to represent magazines. Harper's Bazaar wanted me to be their CoverGirl.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was not a difficult choice to make, actually.
I was going to ask how you could choose between a Columbia Pictures offer and an offer from Howard Hawks, though there must have been some doubt, maybe.
Well, I mean, I didn't know anything about anything, obviously, right. And we start off with that. But my mother's younger brother, my Uncle Jack, was a lawyer, and he was a lawyer for Look magazine, among others. And so he had known something of the Hollywood scene, certainly more than anyone else in my family knew. And he found out about Howard Hawks. He had asked the Look people about Howard Hawks, and he had discovered that Hawks was not only this marvelous movie maker, but that he had not signed anyone to personal contract, and if he had wanted to sign me, to test me, with the possibility of putting me under contract to him, that was a fantastic opportunity, and much better than being one of 15 cover girls and having to sign a 7-year contract with Columbia.
Yeah.
And getting lost in the shuffle. Better to take that chance and have that attention. And of course, I agreed with that completely, and he was right. Played those scenes over and over again, doing imitations of Betty Davis. I mean, I was freaky about that. But she was, I mean, wasn't a bad person to emulate. I mean, she was a marvelous actress, and she was a great star, a great film star, is a great film star.
She came to see you in Applause, I know, on Broadway.
Yes.
What was that meeting like?
It was very curious. of course, I did not know she was in the audience, because I never am told. That's one of my rules in the theater, that no one ever lets me know when anyone is out front, because that makes me very nervous, and I think about that instead about what I'm doing.
In case we don't know why I asked you that, Bette Davis played Margot Channing in All About Eve.
Yes, she was Margot Channing. And she will always be Margot Channing in All About Eve. But Applause was the musical version of that story. Anyway, she did come back to my dressing room, and I felt very odd about it. And she was sitting in my room, and I was sitting there, and I thought, how life goes full circle. I am sitting here. She has come into my room. She who created this character comes to see me, who is recreating it in another medium. And she was the one I always worshipped and adored. It really is too weird. Life is very peculiar. But she was very nice about it. She was very generous about it. And funnily enough, I just came back from England, where I have been also talking about my book. And when I returned home, there was a letter from Bette Davis about the book, which really was such a nice letter. I mean, a thoughtful, really sweet letter, in which she said, of course she remembered the Gotham incident at the hotel. You know, it's Spencer Tracy used to say, remember the lines, hit your marks, and shut up the rest of the time. You know, just do it.
Don't
talk about how you do it, what you have to go through beforehand, pounding the walls while you're finding your character. Just do it. And it's true. One must just play the part.
And there are excuses for that sort of thing. Being chronically late. Or
well, in Marilyn's case, she was late all during Millionaire. But she was late because she was so frightened, I think. I really think she found it very difficult to just walk onto a set and try to play a part. She was a very, very insecure woman. And she was not mean. Her lateness was irritating to everyone else, and it was rude. It is rude to be late. But she didn't do it for those reasons. I really don't think she could manage. She just kept putting off going on the set, just trying to get herself together so she could deal with it. And she was, I don't consider Marilyn an actress. I mean, Marilyn had a fantastic love affair with the camera. I mean, when she was photographed, she didn't have to say anything. She was just incredible on the screen. And, but she never had real confidence in herself, I don't think. When I'm signing the book, which I find a very rewarding experience, because I really can see face to face who's buying the book. I found what has surprised me, I think, is that more young people are buying it than I thought would. I mean, I didn't know, because how can you figure out anything like that? You know, you can't. And they've all been so generous and so complimentary. And what has pleased me very much is that an awful lot of people seem genuinely either to like me or to like my work or to have seen me on the stage. And that, I mean, I wasn't sure that would be the case. And so, I mean, that I found one of the better dividends of this, which has been a total dividend.
There's a wonderful part in the book on the making of The African Queen, which, of course, you were not in. Your husband, Humphrey Bogart, starred in. Is that your favorite of his films, by the way?
It certainly is one of them. It's my son Steve's favorite. It was a wonderful experience, that.
Making that film must have been...
It was fascinating. Yeah, it was wonderful.
But that's where you got to know Katherine Hepburn, wasn't it?
That's where my friendship with Katie started. That's where Bogie's did. He hadn't known her before. He'd known Spence Tracy for years and years, but had never met Katie. And Katie, of course, is a very valuable, important part of my life. Probably the most, I would say outside of my mother, she's the most extraordinary woman I've ever known.
I can believe that, because you start out by saying that, first of all, you had to admire her courage for going halfway around the world without a companion or a friend or something to make that film.
Yeah, it's something. It's something to move through the world by yourself. It
Yeah.
is. It's not easy to do.
And I know later on she and Spencer Tracy would come, I guess, every night to see.
Well,
to
they
see
used,
Bogart.
yes, they did see Bogie at the last few months of his life, and they always came when there was no one else there, just because it was. I mean, they were all close friends. We were all close friends, and it was just a marvelous time for Bogie
Yeah.
and for them, so that they could have an exchange. I think that the reason that Bogie is a bigger star now than he's ever been, and will always be, is because I think his personal integrity and dignity permeated all of the roles. No matter how crummy the part was, or the character that he was playing, I think that inner core that he had was apparent on the screen. You knew he couldn't be bought.
Right, right.
That's a very important thing to know about someone.